The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem.
All right, joining us now to discuss is Howard Greenberg. He's a cryptocurrency educator at Prosper Trading Academy. Welcome to the show, Howard. So just want to zoom out and provide us with your macro outlook on the markets right now. We're seeing the pound getting crushed, a lot of dollar strength. And how does that all tie in with Bitcoin?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we're definitely hitting a lot of macro headwinds lately. I mean, the dollar DXY at highs that we haven't seen since 2001. I think with this week, we could see that even rise above the 115 level, which would put it at prices we haven't seen since 1985. So that is definitely causing some issues with all risk on assets right now. And Bitcoin seems to be one of them getting hurt in this wash up from that.
All right. And I'd love for your analysis of why is the British pound in particular getting crushed compared to the dollar strength? Because both the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England have been raising interest rates. So what is the difference between England getting pounded, if you will?
Sure. I like that. It definitely is getting pounded. Part of that is they are cutting taxes also at this time. In a big way. And the new prime minister also announced, of course, the cap on energy costs throughout the country. So households will have a limit to how much they can spend or how much they'll be forced to spend for energy this winter. So there is definitely a big concern there throughout the European markets, but especially Great Britain and the UK with what's going on because of that. So that's where we've definitely seen it get hurt a lot.
Okay, let's turn over to your Bitcoin outlook. So I saw you sent us a couple of charts. One was on open interest. So taking a look at open interest right now, what does this tell us about, how traders are positioning themselves?
So a few things that we are seeing that's been a little bit of a difference here in the market over the last year or so is the addition of option plays. So we're seeing a much more sophisticated outlook from traders and a more sophisticated trading strategy where you'll see hedges and, straddles and other things being played out as opposed to just either going long or short on Bitcoin as we really had seen. And this Friday, we hit both the quarterly and the monthly expiry, and especially on derivative and the decentralized option markets, we see the largest expiry, basically of all time coming this week. So we're definitely going to see the bulls try to keep it above 18,000 is the key mark, as you can see from our other chart that I gave you earlier. Also is going to be our key pain spot. So the bear is going to try to push it down under 18, let those options expire.
Yeah, I think we do have that chart, the chart with the calls and the puts. What does that tell us about the trader sentiment?
Yeah, so that's what we see. So right now we have almost 142 million contracts set up at 18,000. So it's just a huge amount, as you can see, almost twice as many as any other mark. So, traders definitely were looking for more downside. I think they got caught a little bit off guard the end of last week, Thursday and Friday. We actually saw Bitcoin rally a little bit when QQQ and SPY and equities dropped. So I think that put them a little bit under water here. So they're going to try to, the bears are definitely going to try to bring this down towards 18,000 over the next few days.
All right, yeah, I see that spiking up there around the 18,500 mark. You also have a chart of the Bitcoin daily candles. So what is the trading range you see for Bitcoin short-term versus long-term?
So for, short term, I am looking at a couple of things. We've seen a little bit of a consolidation over the last 2 weeks. We've had a downtrend on our top trend line, as you can see, since about September 13th or 14th. And now over the last week, what we've also seen is a little bit of an uptrend on the bottom trend line. So we have a nice consolidating symmetrical triangle happen. So we usually see a pretty big breakout one way or the other from that type of setup. What I'm looking for is I have an accumulation zone set up at 18.5. So if we head down to that spot, we will enter trades looking for, going long. And then I have a distribution zone set up at about 20,250. If we were to head to that first, I will start to fade the market at that point, and we'll look to open a short position.
Just want to head over to crypto Twitter for a moment there. So there's a lot of talk about 1 Bitcoin equals 1 BTC, or rather 1 BTC equals 1 BTC. That's a phrase happening on crypto Twitter right now. It's gaining a lot of traction amid the recent volatility that we've been seeing. And the idea behind that is that its supply is fixed and it should act as a buoy for prices in the long run. What are your thoughts?
I do think it's a little bit of a push by the Bitcoin maximalists lately. Obviously the mentality of just hodl on for dear life is not your best investment advice. I am a firm believer in stacking sats. It's something that I do, but what I do is I sell off into any kind of really big increase that we see, and then I buy back down on the dips. So if you really want to maximize your Satoshis, that's the way to do it. Holding is not really the answer. So they've sort of gone now to this new, well, 1 Bitcoin is always 1 Bitcoin. It's just, your time frame and your profit expectation frame is going to change. But part of that is that so far we haven't seen the inflation hedge narrative really play out. But Bitcoin's really, really early in its adoption cycle. Those of us in the industry feel like we've been doing it for 100 years, but it's still very, very early, and it's going to take a little while before a financial instrument as large as Bitcoin will really take that narrative. I do think we'll see that play out over the next 20 years. But again, if I am looking at my money and managing my portfolio, I'm selling off into strength and buying on those dips to really maximize my Satoshis.